Hi, welcome to Open Door Yoga. My name is Michelle and thank you for joining me for part one of this three-part beginner yoga series. Now, I designed this series specifically for those of you who may be completely new to yoga. However, if you are a student who is watching who does have a little bit of experience, feel free to stay tuned. Sometimes it's nice to get back to basics. Because this is a beginner-friendly yoga class, you do not need any props today. You don't even need a yoga mat. Just find a comfortable space in your home or whatever room that your practice is occupying today. With that being said, listen to your body. If you are someone who's very new to yoga and you know that sitting on the ground is going to bring a little discomfort into your low back, or you're starting to feel some aches and pains in your knees or your wrists, grab some things to help you out. My biggest recommendation are blankets or towels. So this is a stack of folded blankets, yoga blankets, but any household blanket, towel, beach towel, bath towel, even pillows or couch cushions could be helpful today. Now, the amount of lift that you're bringing is going to give you more and more support. So grab as much as you think you might need, set it off to the side. If we don't use it, no worries, but at least you'll have it available to you. So take your time, get your spot set up, get everything that you need, then let's get started. We're going to start today's practice in a comfortable, easy seat or Sukhasana yoga pose. And if you're wondering what that looks like, it looks like this. We're seated on our mat or that comfortable space you've set up, and our legs are crossed at our shins, allowing our knees to hang heavy. As you arrive in this posture, you may notice that your knees are a little higher than you'd like, and maybe you have some rounding in your spine. And if that's the case, no worries. Maybe you're just feeling a little tight in that low back and hips. We all get that way. If that's the case, this is where your blankets, your towels are going to come in. So bring as many as you think you need, and we're going to shift them underneath our sitting bones. And what that will do is bring our hips a little bit higher than our knees. And hopefully that will help release some of that tension and stiffness you might be feeling, allowing your body to settle into the posture a little bit more comfortably. So take your time, make any adjustments that you need, add some layers, take away some layers. This is also a great tip to remember for any seated yoga posture. Bringing your hips up a little bit higher might make it a little bit more accessible if you're feeling like you just can't access it in your body. As you get settled, let's find this tall, upright channel of energy by stacking our shoulders over our hips and ears over our shoulders. Now, for many of us who are already starting to feel a little bit of rounding in our spine settle into our body during the day, maybe it's due to age, maybe it's from spending a little too much time on our phones. Aren't we all guilty of that? You may feel a little bit more of a stretch just getting in this tall spine. So take your time. As you get settled, allow those shoulders to sink down away from your ears. You may feel a stretch in the sides of your neck, tops of your shoulders. And then inhale, almost like you are a puppet and somebody's pulling a string attached to the top of your head. Allow the crown of your head to lift up towards the sky. You may feel a little more sensation in that neck. You may even feel a stretching through both of your side bodies. Breathe deep, get settled. Then let's bring our hands to touch at heart center. So thumbs can press into that sternum. Sternum presses up and into your thumbs. I like to start all of my yoga practices by setting an intention. It helps to keep me mindful and my practice to be purposeful. Now, if you are new to yoga, you may not have any intentions kind of to pull from off the top of your head. I got you. So each one of these 3 videos, I will be sharing an intention that you are welcome to use or to choose your own. So for today, if you'd like, your intention could be to be present. And now that doesn't necessarily mean quieting all of the thoughts in your mind, because that is really challenging to do. Maybe if you notice that your thoughts start to wander towards that ever-growing checklist of things to do that are coming up in the rest of your day, or maybe you're noticing that your mind's starting to go back and we're getting stuck on something that's happened in the past. Acknowledge whatever thoughts come up and then try your best to send them away. Come back to the present. And that might happen over and over again. That's okay. That's why yoga is a practice. So let's practice together. From here, shift your hands down to either your low ribs or maybe even down into your abdominal muscles. What I would like to invite you to do is create really nice, deep inhales and exhales. So on your breath in, see if you can feel that expansion happening all the way down by your hands. So feel if you can experience your navel pulling away from your spine on your inhales, and then that gentle collapse back in on your exhales. Now, many of us, whether it is due to maybe a physical limitation, maybe it is stress, there's a lot of reasons, we tend to get stuck breathing just into our chest. And one of the key elements of yoga, although we typically just see the asanas or the physical postures, is the breath. Pranayama, or breath control, and using the breath to heal. So let's practice. Inhale that breath all the way down into the lowest cavity of that respiratory system. And then exhale your breath completely to make room for all of this new breath, new energy that you're going to bring into your body. Let's take one more full inhale. Full exhale. Then release your hands towards the fronts of the knees. We're going to use our knees to pull just gently enough to send our heart space forward and up. Roll those shoulders back, gaze lifts. This is our seated cow pose, or Vipassana. On your inhales, noticing that widening of your collarbone. And then on your next exhale, gently allow your spine to start to round, allowing your gaze to drop. You could even get some tension in your arms to round further into that upper spine. This is our seated cat pose, or Marjarasana. On your next inhale, we're going to start a flow between the two. So send that heart space forward and up. And then exhale, round into cat pose. I invite you to look away from the screen so that you are moving at a pace that reflects your natural inhales and exhales. Make this practice your own. If you're noticing that your shoulders are creeping up towards your ears, send them back down. One more time into our seated cow. And one more time into our seated cat. At the end of your last cycle, come back to center. And if you've taken a nice lift under your sitting bones, shift to one side just enough to remove the prop. And you may want to keep it close, so send it off your mat, but keep it accessible in case you'd like to bring it back a little later. Begin to rock on over to your hands and knees. Take your time. And you may want to bring that prop back right now if you're feeling any discomfort on your knees, especially if you're on a hard surface like I am. You can bring that towel or blanket under your knees. And as you get set up with any props that you need, stack your shoulders over your wrists and then your hips over your knees. Toes could be tucked or untucked here, whatever feels most comfortable in your body. And then let's bring a little integrity. So if you're noticing that you're kind of slumped here, no worries. Really ground into the thumb side and pinky side of your hands to press away from the earth. You can even imagine pulling your belly button in towards your spine, and that's gonna light up your core a little bit more. Bring a little stability into your body. From here, let's send our hips over to the left and then gaze back past our right shoulder. Breathe into that side body, feel that stretch. Then take it to the other side. So hips are gonna go to the right and we're gonna gaze past that left shoulder. We'll flow here from one side to the other. And we're just taking on another element of our spinal mobility, which is so big in yoga, spinal mobility, spinal health. So we started with those cat-cows, so flexion and extension, moving that spine forward and backward. And now we're doing a little bit of that lateral or side-to-side movement. So pause in places that feel good. And then as you're ready, we'll come back to center. Scoop your belly in, almost like that cat pose, so that you're creating as much space as possible to step your right foot forward and through. Now, if that is just not going to happen in your body today, and for many, it's very challenging to step through like that, I'm going to invite you to step your foot out to the side, and then you can toe heel or use your hands to help bring that foot to be framed by your hands. Now, let's all send those hips forward and down, stretching into our hip flexor space. Again, you could tuck or untuck those back toes, whatever feels best. And now, a lot of times, there's a tendency to round through our spine. Let's see if we can keep that opening through our chest. And maybe that means lifting our hands towards our shins, towards our thighs, or even bringing back that stack of blankets, those pillows, to bring the ground up a little bit higher to you. If you'd like a little more sensation, hug your thighs towards each other to get your balance, get some stability, and then sweep your arms up and overhead. You could even cactus those arms back if you'd like, finding a little bit more opening through your front body. One more full breath in. Exhale, release your hands. Begin to send your hips up and back as you pivot or kind of rock onto your right heel, coming into a half splits posture. Now, if you're feeling kind of tight in your hamstrings, like I am feeling tight in my hamstrings today, you may notice that you have a slight bend in your front knee. That's okay. Maybe your hands come up a little bit higher to rest on your shin or on your thigh. Breathe deep and send your breath to the parts of your body that you're feeling need the most support. So maybe it's your hamstring, maybe it's your low back. And then exhale, send those hips forward and down again. Plant your hands on the inside of your right foot. And then we're going to toe heel our right foot to the outer side of our mat, or just a little bit of distance from the right side of our body. And then pivot those toes out 45 degrees. From here, sink those hips down, coming into a little bit more of an outer hip stretch. And you can stay right here. If this is too much, find that lift, bring your hands up a little higher. If it's not enough sensation, you can lower down onto your forearms. Just check in with your hips. If you're lowering, your hips are coming up, then choose a different variation. We want to make sure that we keep the sensation of this stretch in our hips. One more breath in. Exhale, toe heel that foot back in. Press into the earth to send your foot back. We'll take it to the other side. So let's practice. Scoop that belly, create as much space as you can. You can even tent your fingers to step that foot forward and through, or step it off to the side. It's always good to practice because especially with some vinyasa flows, there's a lot of step through transitions. And so practicing a little bit together here in our first beginner video could be a fun entry to that. Send those hips forward and down. Choose the hand position that feels best for you. And if you want to sweep those arms up and overhead, just find that engagement through your lower extremities first. Hug your thighs together. It's a good tip to take with you in standing postures as well. Hugging your thighs towards the midline is going to help you keep your balance. Option to cactus those arms or take a bind behind your back. Press your knuckles down and away, rolling your shoulders back. And then exhale, release. Begin to send those hips up and back, rocking onto that front heel. Finding the variation of this half splits posture that feels best in your body. And again, you might have a very generous knee bend today like I do. Sometimes you may notice your hips starting to open up to the side. If that's the case, pull your left thigh bone back into the hip socket. And you'll notice that sensation come right back to your hamstring. One more breath in. Exhale, shift it forward. Plant your hands on the inside of the left foot. Toe heel that left foot out. Pivot the toes. And come into that outer hip stretch. Take the variation that feels best for you. Maybe you're staying right here. Maybe you're bringing the ground up a little bit higher. Or maybe you're folding a little bit deeper. Again, just checking in with those hips. One more full breath in. Then on your breath out, if you found a fold, lift back up. Pivot that or toe heel your foot back in and then send it back to hands and knees. From here, you can bring your feet or your knees rather into a slightly wider stance if that feels good in your body. And then on your next breath in, open up to the right. Allow your right fingertips to reach up towards the sky. Gaze past them. Exhale, thread the needle. So send your right hand through this space that's created between your left arm and your left thigh. Right shoulder plants on the earth. Left hand can stay where it is. Or maybe you extend that arm overhead. Or you could hinge at that elbow, allowing your fingers to drop down to your right outer hip. Some yoga instructors may call that taking a bind. Full breath in. Exhale, plant that left hand back under your left shoulder. Inhale, unwind, and then open all the way back up. Exhale, release. Let's take it to the other side. So inhale, open up to the left side this time. Gaze up past those left fingertips. And then exhale, thread that needle. Plant your left shoulder. Find that arm position that feels best. Maybe it's extending your arm. Maybe it's taking that bind. And settle into this twist. So we did our front to back movements of our spine. We did our side to side, and now we are twisting. One more full breath in. Exhale, release the right hand under the right shoulder. Inhale, unwind, and keep going. Open all the way back up. Exhale, release. From here, you can keep your knees where they are, or maybe extend them even further towards the width of your yoga mat if you're using one. Toe mounds or toes touch on the inner side. And then send your hips down and back. Extend your arms long. Child's pose. Allow your forehead to sink down into the earth. And if the earth is just feeling too far away, again, grab your blanket, grab your towel, bring the earth up to you. As you get settled, maybe tent up your hands so you're pressing down through your fingertips. You could even extend one arm forward and then the other. Breathing into both side bodies. Come to stillness. Child's pose is where I will leave you today. This is going to be our restorative ending posture, our posture of rest. If you'd like to take a more traditional Shavasana, you're welcome to do so. If you're not sure what Shavasana is, don't worry. We're going to get to it in this beginner series. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again for joining me. Namaste.